those hardline budget hawks on the right, those same people who drove us to the verge of a government shutdown more than 6 times in the last 2 years. It was about 7 or 8 times in 2 years that they drove us to the brink of a government shutdown because they didn't want to increase spending. They didn't want to increase the debt limit. Those same hypocritical a-holes are now demanding that Congress raise the debt limit by $4 trillion because they want to be able to pass Donald Trump's initiatives. And so even though we wouldn't budge when Biden was the president, even though we almost shut down the government time after time after time after time after time after time after time in 2 years, now we want to raise it by $4 trillion because they say we need an extra $100 billion for border security. And we want to go ahead and bump up the Defense Department budget by $200 billion a year, which would mean, as I predicted a couple years ago, we would have a defense spending budget of over $1 trillion for 1 year. 1 year. But these people, these absolute hypocrites, made it a big point over the last 2 years and in this last campaign that spending is out of control. We got to do something about it. These liberals just spend money, spend. We got to put a stop to that. Now they're like, hey, we actually need $4 trillion more because, man, we're going to increase spending on everything that doesn't need an increase in spending. But don't worry, folks. They do tell us that, they've got plans to offset the new spending, which is technically impossible because you're increasing the total amount spent. So if you're increasing the amount that you're going to spend, there's no amount of cuts, even if you cut the entire budget out. There's still no amount of cuts to amount to the increase in spending. That's not how numbers work. But these idiots, brain dead, hypocritical morons, tell us that, hey, some of the things we're going to do, we're going to cut Medicaid, obviously. Poor people don't need health insurance, right? They can just die because they can't get preventative care. We're going to roll back environmental regulations. Obviously, we don't want to enforce that, so people will die from that decision too. We're going to reverse President Biden's student loan debt forgiveness. So, the poor people who weren't able to pay their bills, we're just going to make life a little harder for them because our good buddies in the defense industry need an extra $200 billion per year, because those are the people that fund our campaigns, even though Donald Trump is supposed to be coming in as the peace president, right? Like, why do we need to spend more money on defense when Donald Trump is not going to start any international conflicts? He's going to end them all. Right? We're going to have world peace. We're going to have peace in the Middle East. So it seems like we should be cutting the defense budget, right? No, the budget tells you what's really on the agenda, and that should terrify everyone. But again, these are the people that for the last 2 years wouldn't budge, wouldn't let us keep the government going, because they didn't want to raise the debt limit, or they didn't want to see all this spending. They campaigned on it. People voted for it, right? You made people think that the national debt was somehow impacting their daily lives, even though it does not. And now here they are, begging for another $4 trillion to the debt limit so that Donald Trump can do whatever the hell he wants for the next few years. Thanks for watching today, everybody. And don't forget, if you're not already, please do subscribe to this channel. We have fresh content going up every single day, and I would really hate for you to miss out on that. And speaking of missing out, if you're not following me across all other social media outlets, then get on it. You can follow the links in the description of this video.